My next guest has spent years studying racial inequalities and police-civilian relations. I want to bring in University of Maryland sociologist and Brookings Institute senior fellow Rashawn Ray for his perspective. Professor, great to see you. Thanks for being with us this morning. I know everyone is reacting to these videos in a different way. How are you processing all of this?
Well, thanks as always for having me on. It's deeply personal for me. I'm a native Tennessean. I attended the University of Memphis. I vividly remember being in college, riding down Union and Poplar, going to the Lorraine Motel to honor MLK's legacy that was started at an auction block. And when I think about this particular incident in the city of Memphis with the leadership that is currently set up, I mean, it's just disheartening. But I will tell you, I think Memphis is becoming a blueprint and a litmus test and putting other cities on watch for how you actually roll this out. They addressed this incident very quickly. They had an internal investigation in the police department, fired the officers. There were paramedics put on leave. There are also sheriff deputies that are now under investigation. And then, of course, they showed the family the video and brought forth criminal charges. And I think when we look at that rollout, that speaks to the reason why these protests have been peaceful. I'm happy to see that in a city that I call home. And that is because we are seeing transparency and accountability. And that's all that people have been asking for.
Yeah, I think Attorney Ben Crump called it a blueprint for how to do this, that it was well done in that way. You tweeted last night, 5 police officers are charged with the murder of Tyre Nichols. What about all of the other officers involved who did not intervene to stop Tyre from being killed? What does their inaction tell you?
Well, look, I think when people saw those videos, they saw several people standing around having a series of emotions, joking, cussing, not acting professional. I mean, literally, I was disappointed and also embarrassed for what was happening again in a city that means so much to me. I think what it also speaks, though, from my expertise in policing is the lack of duty to intervene. That is one big thing that we've seen from George Floyd to Freddie Gray to other incidents where officers who are supposed to uphold the law and protect people did not intervene. And I understand the consequences of the blue wall of silence. People talk about the blue wall of silence as if people are standing behind it because they want to be loyal. That's part of it. But there are real consequences for speaking up and speaking out. I've seen so many officers get demoted, get suspended for actually intervening. I've seen officers not be backed up for doing that sort of thing. And what this speaks to is a structural problem, a leaky pipeline, where we need to have additional oversight, particularly at the state level, to have independent investigation so that officers who speak up and speak out are not reprimanded and not stigmatized, because that probably would have saved Tyre Nichols' life.
Mm-hmm. And you've spent years studying the actions of police officers. What does your research show when it comes to the race of people police are policing?
So at the University of Maryland, where I direct the Lab for Applied Social Science Research, for years, we have worked with police departments. We have interviewed hundreds of police officers. We have an innovative virtual reality training program that puts officers in the encounters they have every single day: suspicious persons, traffic stops, domestic violence incidents. And we find something that's very, very important for people. We find that there are very few differences between white and black officers in terms of their attitudes and behaviors, particularly when it comes to how they treat black people. So in other words, the broader narrative that we've heard and the broader kind of incidents that we've seen, where it's typically a white officer on a black victim, that's not necessarily what we find in our research. And I think that is important to hold up. Now, there is definitely some research that shows a place effect. In other words, if officers are from the place that they're policing or they live in that place, they are much more likely to treat people in an equitable way. We know that officers are much less likely to live in predominantly black neighborhoods. So you put all this together, our research suggests that there are some real policy solutions here to actually provide incentives for officers to live where they work and to also provide more training and accountability to ensure that these particular incidents don't happen.
Mm-hmm. That's fascinating. It's very, very interesting. And obviously you mentioned this in this case, though, these were black officers attacking a black man. What do you make of this particular circumstance as it pertains to race?
Well, I think the first thing is that it's a selection effect to become a police officer. I have several police officers in my family. They are doing amazing work, like several of my friends who are police officers, but they'll tell you, and then of course in all the interviews we've done, They are socialized the same way. They are embedded in a culture that I'm unsure, as much as systemic change we might make in terms of policy and structural changes, I'm unsure if culture is reformable. So we have to remember that the legacy of policing in the United States comes out of slave patrols, which was even before the United States was founded. There were Black people fleeing plantations where individuals were trying to track them. And of course, law enforcement outlasted that through the founding of our country, through Jim Crow, through the civil rights movement, through mass incarceration. So this is deeply embedded in the sediment. It's really what I call the way that bad apples come from rotten trees. These five cops, well, these ex-cops are bad apples, but they come from somewhere, and they come from a rotten tree that we have never truly dealt with in the United States.
Mm. All right, Rashawn Ray, we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you so much for your insight. We appreciate you being with us.
Thank you for having me.